Welcome to your video guide to paid social media. My name is Timothy Haynes. I am the digital marketing director at an agency in Grand Rapids, Michigan called Symposia Labs. So what is the cost of free? Everyone says that social media is a unicorn, but maybe it's not. I want to introduce you to my friend Molly. Molly is a social media manager. She focuses on Facebook. You can tell she's hip and young. She's got an iPhone. She's got a cup of coffee, maybe from Starbucks. Molly is a marketing director's dream. She is doing everything right. She's got a targeted audience. She's using great content. She's got the perfect photo. And perhaps most importantly, she's on the right channel. After spending 45 minutes yesterday coming up with a perfect post for her brand, Molly reached crickets. Wah wah. 111 people reached. Not a great way to invest your time. We all know a Molly. Maybe you are a Molly. Maybe a Molly is working for you right now. And when Molly goes to her marketing director and says, I need a budget, I need to spend money, the marketing director pulls up Pure Michigan's Facebook page and says, but look at this post. Here we have a picture of a snowy landscape, and we've reached, it looks like, 6,500 likes and 1,900 shares. That's a lot of people reached. The problem, of course, and maybe you already know this, is twofold. One, widgets are not as sexy as sunsets or sunrises. And two, even brands like Pure Michigan have to spend money to increase their reach. Now, of course, a quick caveat here. Money does not fix bad advertising. I won't name the brand behind this particular tagline, the perfect beer for whatever happens, but I will say that no amount of money is going to fix bad content. So what is paid social media? Sometimes you'll hear this referred to as pay-per-click or PPC advertising. I want to take a 10,000-foot view to get this conversation started. If you look at the gray circle, we have owned media. You own your website, you own your email list, and you own your blog. We don't own Facebook and we don't own Twitter because at any given point, those platforms can change. They can disappear, they can fall off the face of the earth along with the audience that we've built there. Next, turn your eyes there to the blue circle, earned media. If I share something that's excellent, meaningful, and valuable, people tend to share it with their friends and with their followers. Thus, I have earned their attention. Earned media is often thought of as organic or free media. And then last but not least there, and the purpose of today's conversation, the red circle represents paid media. Paid media allows us to reach people via social networks that we would not normally reach. We could do this based on targeting and our desired audience. We give Facebook money, we give Instagram money, and in return, we're given more eyeballs, more clicks, and hopefully more purchases. Every social network that is out there today with a large user base has some form of advertising available. LinkedIn, Twitter, Pinterest, Facebook, and Instagram, like we just mentioned, all of these have advertising options. Now, Snapchat has some really exciting options, and YouTube also has some interesting options, usually better to those who are trying to make a national play. We're going to leave both YouTube and Snapchat on the side for the purposes of today's video. Take a trip back to 1995 with me in the time machine. Remember banner ads? Now, if you're in marketing, you like many others in marketing, might feel like these are dead. Sidebar, they are not. There is certainly still value here, but what is the difference between a banner ad or display advertising and paid social? I want to propose to you that on one hand, they are completely different, while on the other hand, they are also very much the same. So functionally, they are very much the same. If I click on this, it's going to take me to a landing page. Often, but not always, if I click on an ad on Facebook, it takes me to an external landing page as well. However, social media, as you know, is a two-way conversation. We go there for community, we go there to have discussion, and we also tend to go there for entertainment purposes. So an ad on Facebook is going to look a lot different. The content and the creative are going to look a lot different. One of the most common mistakes people make with paid social media is that they think whatever they've put on their billboard down the road is going to instantly work on Facebook. And that's simply not the case. They are two different mediums. So here's a great ad by Slack, definitely going for that entertainment factor. A lady riding on a unicorn. I would definitely click on that one. Another thing you want to know about paid social advertising is that it is incredibly mobile focused. Most of the time, if someone is looking at your Facebook ad, they are doing so on their mobile device. In fact, 81% of Facebook's ad revenue comes from mobile advertising, and that number is on the rise. Maybe you're advertising on Google. Maybe you think that social advertising is the same thing. A lot of businesses, big and small alike, fail with social media advertising because they make this mistake. Google and Facebook are different. So here's a great example of that. I have a favorite car shop that serves only VWs. I'm a huge VW fan. I don't search for car shops or tires or oil appointments on Facebook. I usually go to Google. Now, maybe your mom goes to Bing. However, I do love following my favorite auto shop on Facebook. I like to see the different cars that are coming in, pictures of the staff, what's going on. Those are two very different channels. Now, Google is becoming a lot more like Facebook, and Facebook is trying hard to become more like Google, but at the end of the day, they are different. So what can we expect from paid social media? It's definitely important to realize that brands have an ultimatum. You're either going to pay or you're going to forfeit the game as a whole. Looking at this from a strategic standpoint, social media helps move us from the left hand of this chart on awareness all the way down to the path of decision. So first I become aware, then I consider, then I develop an intent, and last but not least, I help to decide. Social does a really good job at this green area. When I'm doing paid social, I can expect 3 different layers of metrics. So first of all, there's an impression. When I think of impressions, I tend to think of a billboard. Anyone who drives by a billboard could be said to have gotten an impression of that billboard. Obviously, this metric is focused on reach and isn't necessarily that valuable. Engagement is a little bit more valuable. I saw your content and I clicked on it. I liked it, I shared it, or I commented on it. This means that I'm at least engaged with the content. I took some sort of action. And this is, of course, more valuable than just driving by. Last but not least, and of course, most important, is this idea of conversion, number 3. So to convert means different things in different scenarios. It might mean I bought, it might mean I downloaded, it might mean I signed up, it might mean I registered. You get the idea. Conversion is taking a measurable action beyond a click. Clicking into a website does not mean that I converted. It simply means that I moved a little bit further down the path. Conversion is much more valuable than a click. So let's do some basic math here. Get your calculators out. How many people are we going to reach for free versus how many people we might have been able to reach if we had paid? So if I have my total fans and followers and I multiply that by an average percentage of organic or free reach, I will come up with an estimation for how many impressions my post will create. So if I have 100,000 fans and I'm being really conservative and saying I'm going to reach 5% for free, that means I'm going to get 5,000 impressions for each post that I put out. Not bad, but not great, especially when we consider that an impression is a very passive metric. Maybe I have only 10,000 fans. Well, now if I'm only reaching 5% for free, I've only gotten 500 impressions. Let's be a little bit more optimistic. Let's say that we're going to reach 20% of our audience for free. So if I have 100,000 fans, I'm going to reach 25,000 people or have 25,000 impressions with every post for free. Better, certainly better, but again, an impression is not an action, and we know that a lower percentage of these people are actually going to take an action. And if I only have 10,000 fans and I reach 20% of them for free, I'm only going to get 2,500 impressions per post. So social media, paid social media, is very valuable, and we can expect to reach more people. We can expect to have a higher conversion rate. However, we need to take everything in marketing with a grain of salt. So just because someone is in marketing or just because someone has run Google AdWords in the past does not mean they are an expert when it comes to Facebook advertising or any other form of social PPC. So beware of people who say, hey, I've got money, I've got skills. Trust me, I'm a doctor. Remember that social PPC is more of a specialty. If you are sitting there today and you have done a promoted post using the boost button, know that that is just the tip of the iceberg in what you can expect from paid social media. It really is becoming a specialty in of itself. Last but not least, let's talk about creating a budget and defining a strategy. The first tool I want to use here is what I usually refer to as constraints. So constraints tend to consist of two big things, money and time. First, let's think about money. How are you going to define what your marketing budget is? Now, this is something you'll keep in mind for paid social media and really for your entire marketing plan outside of paid. A couple of options here. You could set the marketing budget at 5 or 10% of company revenue. You could base it instead off of a certain percentage of overall sales, or you can base it on your goals. This is my personal favorite, and it tends to work best. If you know that you want to acquire 100 new customers and that each customer acquisition is going to be about $1,000, then you can multiply those two numbers to come up with your marketing budget. So I would say 100 times 1,000. Now I have a $100,000 marketing budget. Whatever you do, make sure you have some sort of a contingency plan and make sure that your budget is flexible from month to month and week to week. Especially on platforms like Facebook and Instagram, spends are going to be variable. Looking at the big picture here, marketing spends are shifting from print and radio and TV to digital. Now, on a national level, it's still hard to compete with the power of radio and TV without also spending money there. However, especially locally, digital is really taking the lead. I believe that there is a big shift in process here for local and for national companies. Bottom line, year over year, marketing managers and business owners are spending more money on digital. If that is not true to you, if you are a social media manager or digital marketing manager and you have high expectations without much budget, then you are probably going to fail at what you're doing. And if you don't fail, you may end up leaving before you do. So keep that in mind if you're an employer or a marketing director. You will lose your talent if you don't allow them to succeed, because without paid social, most social media will fail. And if you're sitting there and you're in the boat of people that aren't given a budget but have lots of conversations about where's the ROI, I really encourage you to go start a job search today. There are lots of companies looking for social media managers and digital marketing managers. Might be worth finding someone who believes in the power of what you're doing. So that is the budget conversation in a nutshell. With our budget behind us, let's talk last about forming a digital marketing or a paid social media marketing strategy. So this visual represents a sales funnel. At the very top, we have people who are not aware of us or our product. And as they move down this sales funnel, they're becoming aware of us, they're becoming interested, they're engaging, and they're eventually moving from a stranger to a customer. I strongly encourage you to base your entire paid social strategy on some form of your sales funnel. These two things are interconnected deeply. So let's look at just a rough sketch of what a sales funnel could look like for paid social. Maybe I visit your website and I decide that I'm really interested in what you have to offer, and maybe you tell me that I can request a demo. Maybe the next step, I'm on a call with you and you're showing me what it is that your product or your service can do. I'm walking you through our value proposition. I'm building a little bit of a relationship. I'm having that conversation. Maybe after that conversation happens, the prospect gets an email or a message from me saying, hey, do you have any more questions? Is there anything that I can do to help? Here's the resource kit that I promised to share. Here's the case study that I promised to share. The next day, that prospect is on Facebook on their phone, and suddenly they're starting to see content related to my brand as I start retargeting efforts. We've all seen this happen before, and we know how effective it is when a product follows us around with valuable content. And maybe last but not least, they receive something in the mail, a handwritten thank you note. Thanks for taking the time to chat the other day. That sales funnel is the basis of my entire paid social strategy. An exercise that I would really suggest you give a try, map out your sales funnel step by step. Think about what it is you want to happen if someone does or doesn't do the next thing that you've suggested, and use this as the basis of your entire strategic plan. A couple of takeaways here. Use content that provides value. It goes without saying, I hope, but make sure that the content you're sharing is providing immense value. 2, each step of your sales funnel should further qualify prospects. 3, few paid social media strategies, I would even argue almost none, work well in a vacuum. You notice that I mentioned USPS as in the United States Mail. Yes, I do think there's value in sending handwritten content to someone based on their digital activities. And then last but not least, number 4, I really want you to change your definition of CPC. We often think of cost per click, and that's great, but it's much more valuable to think about cost per conversion. How much does it cost to get a customer to become a customer? So there you have it. Those are the fundamentals that you and your team need to build a paid social media strategy that will get actual results. Thank you guys so much for listening to me and to watching this video. The AMA allowed us to present this exact same piece to them. We got great feedback, and we're really hoping that you feel the same way. If you have a question, shoot me an email or send me a text. So long as it is before midnight, I will probably respond quite quickly. So you've made it this far. That probably means that you are ready to utilize social media in a way that will actually drive business results that matter. We, the team here at Symposia, has spent over 40 hours in the last month putting together a paid social media toolkit just for you, with the intention of helping you take what you're doing to the next level. In this toolkit, you are going to find a Facebook ads case study based on a real client with real numbers. We're going to talk to you about how to build a budget for your organization that meets your goals. We're going to give you all sorts of tools and tips for tracking, measuring what you're doing, and proving out that ROI. And if you are smarter than the person who's in charge of you, we're going to talk to you about how to convince your boss that paid social media is worth the investment, because it is. What I want you to do is to click the button or the link below, or maybe it's above me, depending on where you're watching this. You're going to get this paid social media kit right into your inbox, and then I'm hoping that I'll get to talk to you on the other side. Thanks.